The red dust of Mars swirled around the massive training grounds of the Interstellar Military Academy. Lisa Grant wiped sweat from her forehead as she finished. Last in the morning run. Again, the other cadets were already heading to the showers. While she struggled to catch her breath. "Dead weight Grant strikes again," laughed Jake Morrison, the top human cadet in their class. His friends chuckled as they walked past her. Lisa kept her eyes down and said nothing. The academy was huge, with students from all over the galaxy. There were tall blue aliens called Xenorons who could lift heavy things easily. There were fast green aliens called Keplers who could run like lightning. And then there were humans like Lisa, who seemed weak compared to everyone else. Lisa had dreamed of being a space soldier since she was little. Her older brother died fighting the evil Vex aliens 5 years ago. She wanted to make him proud. But after 6 months at the academy, she was starting to think she made a big mistake. In the classroom, Professor Chun was teaching battle tactics. On the big screen, he showed old battles between humans and aliens. Lisa paid close attention, but she often disagreed with what the textbook said. She thought there were better ways to fight, but nobody wanted to hear her ideas. "Grant," Professor Chun called out. "What would you do in this situation?" Lisa looked at the screen. It showed human ships trying to attack enemy ships head-on. The textbook said this was the right way to fight. But Lisa could see problems with this plan. "I would not attack directly," she said quietly. "The enemy expects that. I would use the asteroid field to hide and attack from behind." The class laughed. Even some of the human students shook their heads. "That is not proper military thinking," said Caxvel, the prince of the Zentoran people. He was 7 feet tall with blue skin and yellow eyes. "Real warriors fight with honor, not hiding like cowards." "The textbook clearly states the best approach," Professor Chun said. "Please study harder, Grant." Lisa felt her face turn red. She knew her idea was good, but nobody would listen. They thought she was just a weak human girl who did not belong here. At lunch, Lisa sat alone, as usual. The cafeteria was full of different aliens talking and laughing together. She watched Jake Morrison sitting with the popular students, both human and alien. Kelly Brooks, another top human student, was there too. They all seemed so confident and strong. "Mind if I sit here?" Lisa looked up to see Dr. Helen Carter, one of the human teachers. Dr. Carter was older, with gray hair and scars on her arms from old battles. She had fought in the first war against the Vex aliens. "Sure," Lisa said, surprised that a teacher wanted to sit with her. Dr. Carter put down her food tray and sat across from Lisa. "Tough day?" Lisa nodded. "They all think I am weak and stupid." "Maybe they are right." "I have been watching you," Dr. Carter said. "Your test scores are not the best, but you think differently from the others. That is not always a bad thing. Different does not help when I cannot run fast or lift heavy things." Lisa said sadly. Dr. Carter smiled. "I knew a soldier once who could not run very fast either. But he saved my life and many others because he could see things we missed. Sometimes being different is exactly what you need." That afternoon was combat training. The students had to work in teams to complete missions in the simulator. Lisa was put on a team with 3 other students who clearly did not want her there. The mission was simple. Their team had to sneak into an enemy base and steal important information. The other students made a plan to go in fighting. Lisa tried to suggest a different approach, but they ignored her. "Just stay back and try not to mess this up," said one of her teammates. The simulation started. Lisa's team rushed toward the enemy base, shooting at everything they saw. But the enemy was ready for them. Alarms went off everywhere. Enemy soldiers came from all directions. Within 5 minutes, 3 of Lisa's teammates were killed in the simulation. Only Lisa was left, hiding behind a broken wall while enemy soldiers searched for her. She looked around carefully. The other teams were having the same problem. They were all fighting the same way, and they were all failing. But Lisa noticed something. The enemy soldiers followed the same patterns every time. They searched in the same places and moved in the same ways. Lisa had an idea. Instead of fighting, she waited. She watched the enemy patterns. When they moved to one side of the base, she quietly moved to the other side. She avoided the fights and focused on the mission. While the other teams were still shooting at enemies, Lisa reached the information room. She downloaded the data and escaped through a window that nobody else had noticed. Her team won the mission, even though she was the only one left alive. But when the simulation ended, her teammates were angry. "You just got lucky," one said. "A real soldier would have helped us fight." "Hiding and sneaking is not honorable," another added. Even Jake Morrison, watching from another simulator, shook his head. "That was not how a human should fight," he said to his friends. Only Dr. Carter seemed impressed. She gave Lisa a small nod from across the room. Later that evening, Lisa was studying alone in her room when the alarm bells started ringing. This was not a drill. All students were ordered to report to the main hall immediately. Captain Davis, the academy commander, stood at the front of the room. He looked worried. Behind him was a big screen showing space near Jupiter. "Students," he said in a serious voice, "we have received a distress signal from a training ship near the asteroid belt. The ship has stopped responding to our calls. We need senior students to go on a rescue mission." Lisa watched as the best students were chosen for the mission. Jake Morrison, Kelly Brooks, and several top alien students were selected. Cax Vel, the Zentoran prince, was chosen to lead the team. "Grant," Captain Davis called out. Lisa was shocked to hear her name. "You will go as backup support." Lisa could see the other students rolling their eyes. Nobody wanted her on their team, but orders were orders. The rescue team traveled to the asteroid field in a fast military ship. Lisa sat in the back while the other students planned their mission. They talked about how they would search the lost ship and rescue any survivors. When they reached the location, they found the training ship floating quietly among the asteroids. It looked dark and empty. "Scans show no life signs," reported Kelly Brooks. "The ship appears to be dead." But Lisa was looking at her own scanner, and something did not look right. The energy readings were strange. They were too organized too. Purposeful for a dead ship. "Wait," Lisa said. "I think something is wrong." "What now, Deadweight?" Cax Vel said impatiently. "Do you see monsters in the shadows again?" Lisa looked at her scanner again. The energy patterns were definitely not normal. The ship is not dead. Something is still active inside. "The scanners show no life," Jake Morrison said. "You are seeing things that are not there." But Lisa had learned to trust her instincts. While the others prepared to board the ship, she kept watching her scanner. The energy readings were getting stronger. Suddenly, lights began turning on inside the dark ship. The rescue team stopped and stared as the dead vessel came to life. Then the worst thing happened. The ship sent out a signal, a call for help that went deep into space. "It is a trap," Lisa shouted. "That is a Vex ship. It was waiting for us." The enemy ship's weapons turned toward them. But Lisa was already moving. She grabbed the controls of their ship and pulled them away just as deadly energy beams shot past them. "Incoming ships," Kelly Brooks shouted, looking at her screen. "Vex fighters coming fast." The rescue mission had become a fight for survival. And the student who everyone called weak and stupid was the only one who had seen the danger coming. 6 months passed after the trap in the asteroid field. Lisa had helped save her team that day, but nobody talked about it. The Academy records said the mission was a success, but they did not mention how Lisa spotted the danger first. The other students still called her Deadweight Grant. Then everything changed. The Vex aliens attacked the outer colonies without warning. Their ships appeared from nowhere and destroyed 3 human settlements in one day. The war had started again. The Academy moved quickly. All senior students were sent to real warships to help fight the aliens. Lisa packed her few belongings and tried not to feel scared. She was going to war, but she still felt like nobody believed in her. Captain Roy Davis commanded the warship, Titan's Edge. He was a tough old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought aliens before and survived many battles. When he saw Lisa's academy records, he shook his head. "Another weak cadet," he said to his officers. "Why do they keep sending us the ones who cannot fight?" Lisa was given the worst jobs on the ship. She cleaned floors, carried supplies, and worked in the kitchen. The other cadets from her academy got important positions. Jake Morrison became a tactical officer. Kelly Brooks worked in communications. Even some aliens who graduated with her got better jobs than Lisa. The ship's crew treated her like she was invisible. When she tried to share ideas about fighting the Vex, they laughed at her. The other humans on the ship were embarrassed that she came from Earth. They wanted to show the alien crew members that humans were strong and smart, not weak like Lisa. For 2 weeks, the Titan's Edge patrolled the border colonies. They found destroyed planets and empty space stations. The Vex had killed everyone and taken everything useful. Lisa saw the damage and felt angry. These aliens had killed her brother, and now they were killing more innocent people. Then they got the call that changed everything. A big group of Vex ships was attacking the mining colony on Kepler 442b. The colony had 50,000 people, including many families with children. The Titan's Edge was the only ship close enough to help. Captain Davis ordered the ship to battle stations. Lisa was sent to a storage room where she would be safe. She could only listen to the battle through the ship's communication system. The Titan's Edge met the Vex ships near the colony. There were 5 enemy vessels, each one as big as Captain Davis's ship. The battle started badly for the humans. "Their shields are too strong," shouted Jake Morrison from the tactical station. "Our weapons are not working." "Try pattern Alpha 7, ordered Captain Davis. This was a standard attack formation that all human ships used. But the Vex ships seemed to know what was coming. They avoided the attack easily and fired back with their own weapons. The Titan's Edge shook as enemy fire hit the hull. Lisa listened to the battle reports and felt frustrated. She could hear that the human tactics were not working, but nobody would listen to her ideas. The standard patterns from the academy were failing because the Vex had learned how to fight against them. "Hull breach on Deck 5, came a voice over the speakers. "We are losing air." The battle was going badly. Lisa could not just sit in the storage room while people died. She left her hiding place and went to the bridge where Captain Davis was fighting his ship. "Get back to your station," yelled the captain when he saw her. "Sir, the standard tactics are not working," Lisa said quickly. "The Vex know how we fight. We need to try something different." "I do not have time for cadet theories," Captain Davis replied. "Jake, try pattern Beta 2. But Jake Morrison was having problems. The pressure of real battle was different from academy simulations. His hands shook as he tried to target the enemy ships. When he fired the weapons, they missed completely. "I cannot get a lock," Jake said, his voice full of panic. "They are moving too fast." Another hit shook the ship. Sparks flew from damaged equipment. Lisa could see that they were losing the battle. Soon the Vex would destroy them and then attack the colony. "Sir," Lisa said again, louder this time, "I have an idea." "Not now," Captain Davis snapped out. But then the worst thing happened. A Vex energy beam hit the bridge directly. The tactical officer was killed instantly. Jake Morrison was thrown against a wall and knocked unconscious. Smoke filled the bridge and emergency lights flashed red. "Tactical station is down," someone shouted. "We have no weapons control." Captain Davis looked around desperately. Half his officers were hurt or dead. The Vex ships were moving in for the final attack. In a few minutes, everyone on the Titan's Edge would be dead. "Grant," he said, looking at Lisa, "you know the tactical systems?" "Yes, sir," Lisa replied. She had studied them, even though nobody thought she was good enough to use them. "Then get to that station and do something," Captain Davis ordered. "Anything is better than dying here." Lisa ran to the tactical station. The controls were damaged but still working. She could see the 5 Vex ships on her screen, getting closer every second. Their weapons were charging for another attack. Lisa looked at the situation and thought quickly. The standard human tactics use direct attacks, ship against ship. But that was not working because the Vex ships were stronger. She needed a different approach. On her screen, she could see they were fighting near a gas giant planet. The planet had rings made of ice and rock. Most ship captains avoided the rings because they were dangerous, but Lisa saw an opportunity. "Captain," she said, "I need you to fly us into the planet's rings." "That is suicide," Captain Davis replied. "The debris will destroy us." "Trust me, sir," Lisa said. "I can use the rings to help us." Captain Davis looked at the Vex ships getting closer. He had no choice. "Do it," he ordered the pilot. The Titan's edge dove toward the gas giant's rings. The Vex ships followed, thinking the humans were trying to escape, but Lisa was not running away. She was setting a trap dot as they flew through the ice and rock debris. Lisa used the ship's tractor beam to grab large pieces of ice. She aimed carefully and fired the tractor beam like a slingshot, throwing chunks of ice at incredible speed toward the Vex ships. The aliens did not expect this attack. Their shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not fast-moving ice chunks. The first piece of ice hit a Vex ship and punched right through its hull. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. "How did you do that?" Captain Davis asked, amazed. "Physics, sir," Lisa replied. "Fast-moving objects have lots of energy. Their shields cannot stop everything." Lisa kept using her ice chunk attacks. She grabbed bigger pieces of debris and threw them faster. One by one, the Vex ships were destroyed by flying ice and rock. The aliens had never seen anything like this before. Within 10 minutes, all 5 enemy ships were destroyed. The colony was saved. The crew of the Titan's Edge stared at Lisa in shock. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" asked Kelly Brooks. "I just thought about it differently," Lisa said quietly. Captain Davis wrote his battle report that night. He mentioned that the tactical officer was killed and that quick thinking saved the ship, but he did not say it was Lisa's idea. He said it was luck and good training. Jake Morrison recovered from his injuries, but he was embarrassed that he had failed in battle. He did not want to talk about how Lisa had saved everyone. The other crew members were grateful to be alive, but they still thought Lisa was just lucky. Only Captain Davis began to see that Lisa was different. She did not fight like other humans, but maybe that was exactly what they needed. The war was just beginning, and the old ways of fighting were not working anymore. Lisa went back to her small room that night and looked out at the stars. She had saved 50,000 people, but tomorrow she would go back to cleaning floors and being ignored. She wondered if she would ever get a real chance to show what she could do. She did not know that her chance was coming sooner than she thought. The war was getting much worse. For 3 months after the battle at the gas giant, Lisa watched as human ships kept losing fights against the Vex aliens. The enemy seemed to know what humans would do before they did it. Every battle ended the same way, with human ships destroyed and colonies burned. Lisa had been promoted to tactical analyst, which was still a low job. She spent her days looking at battle reports and trying to find patterns. Captain Davis trusted her more now, but the other officers still treated her like she was not important. One morning, Lisa was studying enemy ship movements on her computer when she noticed something strange. The Vex ships were not just working together better than before. They were working together perfectly. Every ship knew exactly what every other ship was doing, even when they were on opposite sides of the solar system. Lisa looked at hundreds of battle reports. In every fight, the Vex ships moved like they shared one brain. They never made mistakes. They never got confused. They fought like a giant machine made of many parts. "Captain Davis," Lisa said, running to his office with her computer. I know why we keep losing." Captain Davis looked tired. He had just received news that another human fleet was destroyed. "What is it, Grant?" Lisa showed him her data. "Look at these movement patterns. The Vex ships are not just talking to each other, they are connected somehow. Like they all share the same mind." "That is impossible," Captain Davis said. "No communication. System works that fast across space." "Not normal communication," Lisa explained. "But what if they use quantum entanglement? That works instantly no matter how far apart things are." Captain Davis studied the data. Lisa was right. The coordination was too perfect for normal communication. If they have some kind of shared mind controlling all their ships, then we can never surprise them. "Unless we find the source and destroy it," Lisa said. "There has to be a central control somewhere. Like a queen controlling all the worker ants." Lisa worked for days trying to find where the Vex control center might be. She looked at every battle, every ship movement, every attack pattern. Slowly, she began to see the answer. "Here," she said, pointing to a map of space. "All their ships come from this area. All their attacks start from here. The control center is in the Epsilon system." Captain Davis looked at the map. "That system is deep in Vex territory. Our scouts have never been there. Because it is so well protected," Lisa said. "They would only protect something that important." Lisa found more evidence. The quantum signals all seemed to come from one place. The Vex called it the hive mind nexus. It was a huge biomechanical machine that could control millions of alien warriors across the galaxy. "We have to tell the fleet commanders," Captain Davis said. They sent Lisa's report to the human and alien generals who led the war. Lisa explained her theory and showed all her evidence. She even had a plan for how to destroy the Nexus, but the meeting did not go well. "This is just guessing," said General Parker, the human fleet commander. "We cannot risk our ships on the theories of a low-ranking analyst." The alien commanders were even worse. "Humans always make simple problems complicated," said Admiral Zektar, a tall insectoid leader. "We should attack their main fleet directly." "My plan can work," Lisa insisted. "The Nexus has a weakness. If we can disrupt the quantum network with precisely timed electromagnetic pulses, the whole system will crash." "Too risky," General Parker decided. "We will attack their fleet with everything we have. A direct assault." Lisa felt sick. She knew the direct attack would fail. The Vex would see it coming and be ready. Thousands of human and alien soldiers would die for nothing. The great battle happened 2 weeks later. Every available ship in the human fleet joined the attack. Captain Davis and the Titan's Edge were part of the assault force. Lisa watched from the tactical station as hundreds of ships moved toward the Vex main fleet. At first, it looked like the attack might work. The human ships outnumbered the enemy 3-1. But then the Vex ships began moving in perfect coordination. They formed defensive patterns that no one had ever seen before. Their weapons fired at exactly the right time to cause maximum damage. "They know exactly what we are doing," Captain Davis said grimly as he watched human ships explode on his screen. The battle became a disaster. Ship after ship was destroyed by the coordinated Vex attacks. The aliens seemed to know where every human ship would be before it got there. Within 2 hours, half the human fleet was gone. "All ships retreat," came the order from General Parker. But even retreating was dangerous because the Vex knew where the humans would go. The Titan's Edge was hit 3 times trying to escape. The engine room was damaged, and they could barely move. Around them, other human ships were being picked off. "One by one." "Sir," Lisa said urgently, "we have to try my plan. It is the only way." Captain Davis looked around his damaged bridge. Most of his crew was dead or wounded. Jake Morrison was unconscious again. Kelly Brooks was trying to keep communications working with a broken radio. "What do you need?" Captain Davis asked. "A small team and permission to use the emergency supplies." Lisa said, "I can build the electromagnetic pulse devices we need." "That is mutiny," said Commander Ross, the ship's first officer. "General Parker gave direct orders not to try this plan." "General Parker's plan just got thousands of people killed," Captain Davis replied angrily. "Grant, you have my permission. Do whatever you think will work." Lisa gathered a small team of volunteers. Some were crew members from the Titan's Edge, who had seen her fight before. Others were survivors from destroyed ships who had nothing left to lose. Even a few of her old academy classmates joined, including Jake Morrison, who had finally woken up. "I am sorry I never believed in you," Jake said quietly. "I was wrong about everything." "We can talk about that later," Lisa replied. "Right now we have work to do." Using damaged Vex technology from previous battles, Lisa built devices that could disrupt quantum entanglement networks. It was dangerous work because one mistake could kill them all. But Lisa had studied the alien technology carefully and knew exactly what to do. The plan was simple but required perfect timing. They would use a captured Vex ship to get close to the Nexus. Then they would set off the electromagnetic pulse devices at exactly the right moment to cause a cascade failure throughout the entire network. "This is crazy," said Kelly Brooks as they prepared to leave. "We are 6 people trying to destroy something that controls millions of aliens." "Sometimes crazy is exactly what you need," Lisa replied. "The Vex expect us to think like everyone else. But we are going to think like humans." As their small ship flew toward the heart of Vex territory, Lisa felt nervous but determined. Everyone said she was weak and stupid, but now the fate of the entire war rested on her shoulders. She would either save everyone or die trying. The hive mind nexus was larger than Lisa had imagined. It looked like a giant brain made of metal and living tissue, floating in space and protected by hundreds of Vex ships. Energy beams connected it to communication arrays that reached across the galaxy. "There," Lisa said, pointing to a weak spot in the nexus structure. "We hit it there and the whole thing will collapse." But getting close enough would be the hardest part. The nexus was protected better than anything in the universe. And Lisa's tiny team was all that stood between humanity and total defeat. Lisa's small team flew their captured Vex ship toward the massive hive mind nexus. The alien vessel looked like a giant brain floating in space, with thousands of energy beams connecting it to ships across the galaxy. Hundreds of Vex warships guarded it, moving in perfect patterns. "How do we get past all those ships?" Jake Morrison asked nervously. He was still getting used to following orders from the girl he used to call dead weight. Lisa studied the enemy patterns on her screen. The Vex ships moved like they were dancing, each one in exactly the right place at the right time. But Lisa noticed something important. They were too perfect. "They are not thinking for themselves," she said. "The Nexus controls them completely. That means they can only do what it tells them to do." "So?" Kelly Brooks asked from the communication station. "So they cannot adapt if we do something the Nexus does not expect," Lisa explained. "We just have to be more unpredictable than a computer." Lisa's plan was dangerous but simple. Instead of trying to sneak past the guards, they would pretend to be a damaged Vex ship returning from battle. The Nexus would try to contact them, but Lisa had modified their communications to send confusing signals back. "Ready?" Lisa asked. Her team, everyone nodded, even though they were all scared. They knew this was probably a one-way mission. If they failed, humanity would lose the war. Lisa flew their ship toward the Nexus defense line. Immediately, Vex ships moved to intercept them. Energy beams scanned their vessel, checking to see if they belonged there. "They are trying to connect to our computer," Kelly reported. "The Nexus wants to take control of our ship." Let it try, Lisa said calmly, but it will get very confused. Lisa had programmed their computer to send random data back to the Nexus. Instead of normal Vex ship information, it sent cooking recipes, old Earth songs, and mathematical puzzles. The alien computer had never seen anything like it. The Vex ships guarding the Nexus stopped moving. They hung motionless in space while the great alien brain tried to understand the strange signals. For 30 seconds, the entire defense grid was frozen. Now, Lisa shouted that she pushed their ship to maximum speed. Flying straight toward the Nexus, the confused guard ships tried to follow, but they were still getting mixed signals from their controller. Some ships turned left, others turned right. A few even crashed into each other. Lisa's team reached the Nexus surface and landed their ship in a maintenance bay. Alarms were going off everywhere, but the Vex defenders still could not coordinate properly. The confusion was spreading through the network like a virus. "We have maybe 10 minutes before they figure out what is happening," Lisa said as they grabbed their equipment. "Let us move." The inside of the Nexus was like being inside a living computer. Cables that looked like blood vessels carried information between massive processing units. The walls pulsed with alien energy, and strange sounds echoed through the corridors. Lisa led her team toward the central core, following the electromagnetic pulse devices she had built. Jake Morrison and 2 other team members carried the heavy equipment while Kelly Brooks watched for enemies. They met Vex soldiers in the corridors, but these aliens were also confused by the network problems. Some stood perfectly still, waiting for orders that never came. Others wandered in circles, their shared mind connection broken. "It is working," Jake said with amazement. "Your plan is actually working," but Lisa knew the hardest part was still ahead. They reached the central core of the Nexus, a huge chamber filled with organic computers and quantum communication arrays. This was the brain that controlled millions of Vex warriors across the galaxy. "There," Lisa pointed to a cluster of quantum transmitters. "We place the devices around those transmitters. When they go off together, the electromagnetic pulse will overload the entire network." The team worked quickly to position Lisa's devices, but as they worked, the Nexus began to adapt. The great alien mind was learning to ignore the confusing signals from their ship. Soon it would regain full control of its defenses. "Incoming transmission," Kelly reported. "The Nexus is trying to communicate with us directly." The walls around them began to glow. Images appeared in the air, showing the face of the Vex Queen, the intelligence that controlled the entire alien empire. She was beautiful in a terrifying way, with multiple eyes and skin that shifted colors. "Humans," the Queen's voice filled the chamber. "You have come far to die in my presence. I am impressed by your cleverness, but you cannot stop what has already begun." "We can try," Lisa said, continuing to work on her devices. "You are the one they call weak," the Queen said, her multiple eyes focusing on Lisa. "I have studied your species military records. Your own people do not believe in you. Why do you fight for those who reject you?" Lisa paused in her work. The Queen's words hurt because they were true. Even now, even after everything she had done, many humans still thought she was just a lucky failure. "Because it is the right thing to do," Lisa said finally. "I do not fight for people who believe in me. I fight for people who need help." The Queen laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Foolish sentiment. When I control your mind as I control all others, you will understand the peace of absolute order." "I will never be controlled," Lisa replied. Activating her devices, the electromagnetic pulse exploded outward from the transmitters. Energy cascaded through the quantum networks like lightning. The Nexus shuddered as its connections to the galaxy began failing one by one. But the pulse was not strong enough. The Nexus was too big, its network too complex. Lisa's devices had damaged it but not destroyed it. "Clever, but insufficient," the Queen said. In 1 minute, My systems will repair themselves. Then you will die slowly. Lisa looked around desperately. Her plan had almost worked, but almost was not good enough. Then she noticed something. The quantum transmitters were overloading from her electromagnetic pulse. If she could make them explode. Everyone get back, Lisa shouted to her team. Get to the ship now. What are you doing? Jake asked. Something stupid, Lisa replied with a sad smile. Tell everyone that Deadweight Grant finally did something right. Before anyone could stop her, Lisa ran toward the overloading transmitters. She grabbed one of her remaining pulse devices and held it against the main quantum core. Lisa, no, Kelly screamed. Lisa looked back at her friends one last time. Take care of each other, she said, and activated the device. The explosion was beyond massive. The quantum core detonated, creating a chain reaction that spread through the entire nexus. The great alien brain screamed as its connections to the galaxy were severed forever. But instead of dying, Lisa found herself thrown clear by the blast, protected by her team who had refused to leave her behind. Jake Morrison had tackled her just as the explosion started, saving her life. The nexus was collapsing around them. They ran for their ship as the alien structure tore itself apart. Behind them, the Queen's voice faded into static as her great mind finally died. They escaped just as the nexus exploded completely. Across the galaxy, Vex ships suddenly stopped moving as their controlling intelligence vanished. Without the hive mind to coordinate them, the alien empire collapsed in hours. Lisa woke up in a hospital bed 3 days later. Captain Davis was sitting beside her, smiling. You did it, he said simply. The war is over. You saved everyone. Over the following weeks, Lisa learned how completely the war had ended. Without their shared mind, the Vex could not work together. Human and alien forces liberated planet after planet with ease. The terrible enemy that had threatened the galaxy was defeated. Lisa was promoted to Admiral, the youngest in human history. Her tactics were taught at military academies across known space. The girl who was once called Deadweight Grant became known as the savior of humanity. At the victory celebration, Dr. Helen Carter gave a speech about the importance of believing in people who think differently. Jake Morrison publicly apologized for how he had treated Lisa. Even the alien commanders who had dismissed her plans now spoke of her with respect. But the moment Lisa treasured most was when Captain Davis pinned the Medal of Honor on her uniform. I am proud to have served with you, he said quietly. You taught an old soldier that being different is not the same as being weak. Lisa stood on the observation deck of her new flagship and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, people were rebuilding their lives because she had refused to give up. Her brother would have been proud. She was no longer the girl everyone called weak. She was Admiral Lisa Grant, the legend who had saved the galaxy by thinking like a human.